This is AVGN DVD Volume 8. Thank you once again for all your support. This is the commentary of the past year. Now, the last DVD left off at the end of 2013, so we're going to pick it up from here. As I said on the last commentary, that 2013 was a very hectic, very stressful year, but 2014 was a very focused year, focused on just finishing the movie, because I didn't want to be working on this thing up till 2020, the way it was going, so it was just, had to really push hard to finish it. The first quarter of the year, we finished the majority of the visual effect shots for the movie. Then we went on to sound and music. The entire sound design of the film got done. And then booking theaters, and then traveling and showing it around, and then getting it ready for a digital online release, and then the DVD and doing all the bonus features for that. So this was a very focused year. It was all about finishing the movie. It was the 10-year anniversary of The Nerd, so it was a very eventful year, and what better way to celebrate than with a whole feature-length film. But as a result, you see that there weren't as many episodes. Even though I paced myself very well, I got enough episodes done in advance where they were spaced out really well, so every few months there would be a new Nerd episode. But it may seem like 2014 was a slow year with the episodes, but it didn't feel like it at all to me, because I was working so hard on the movie the whole time. So for me, it was just AVGN, nothing but AVGN. But there just is a few episodes to show for it. So let's just get into it and start talking about the episodes. So let's go back to the end of 2013. The first one was the AVGN Games episode. Over the years, we've got tons of AVGN fan-made games, and it was really cool. The first one was Eric Ruth. You got to give him credit. He was the first one to come up with the idea to put the whole thing full circle, because the Nerd critiques games. Well, what if the Nerd was in his own shitty game? And he did a good job on it. I mean, even though it was like lots of things in it were made to be bad on purpose, but still, for a game that was made by one guy, it was pretty good. I don't know anything about designing games. I only critique them as the nerd, so it's all for fun. But this first game, it was a big deal at the time because it was the first ever Nerd video game. And then lots of them followed over the years, so I would get them a lot. And what's really funny is that it's very true that I never played many of them till years later, because I own a Mac. That's what I edit on. I've edited on Final Cut Pro for 10 years or more, and I don't own a PC, and that's what all video games seem to be. If they're on a computer, they're on a PC, not a Mac. So I don't know it's been so long since I've used a PC, and it's hard to get into something different when you don't have the time for it to learn it. So Mike and I are the same thing. We edit on Macs, so a lot of these games kind of piled up over the years where we just didn't get around to playing them for a while because they're on PC. But then the AVGN Adventures game came out, and that was the biggest AVGN game of all, which was made by a guy, Sam Beddoes, who did a great job. And Screw Attack basically made this whole game, and it was the first time where it was like I was officially endorsing the game. Other than that, I didn't have much involvement with it. It was just they would show me the game every now and then and say, "Hey, is this cool?" And I would check it out and be like, "Yeah, that looks good," So they would show me the progress, but other than that, I wasn't very involved. Sam knew, and all the guys at Screw Attack knew the Nerd's humor. They knew the episodes and everything, so it was like it wasn't hard for them to put the jokes into the game, and they made a game that very much fits in tune with the episodes. It was a very hard game, and that was one of the points of it, that it is a game that the Nerd would complain about for its difficulty. The death blocks, I think that's the thing everybody talks about, that they're just all over the place. You can't avoid them, so that's always probably the hardest part of the game. That's probably the only thing I would say they went too far on, but everything else, they did a really great job. You know what my problem in the game? I have the most unique problem of all, is just that I always have a bad sense of direction. So every time I die and then I start again at the checkpoint, I don't remember if I was going left or right. and I'd do it all the time where I would go backwards, and I'd be playing it with Mike, and he'd be like, "You're going the wrong way," and I do it all the time. And speaking of Mike, it's funny, he's in the game, and Mike played the game before I did, so when I was playing, sometimes he would give me like tips. He'd be like, "Oh, you should use Mike on this part." And it's Mike saying, "You should use Mike." So that was pretty funny. So because this AVGN Adventures game was out, it was the perfect time to do a whole nerd episode about all the AVGN games that were made over the years. And actually, it was hard to even keep track of them because there were so many. Even after I was done doing the video, I got another one. A fan sent me a game called Rob Revenge. It was on the Atari 2600, and it was basically a hack of Berserk, but with Rob the Robots in it. So it goes on and on and on. But because there were so many games, and most of them were not on cartridges, most of them were on PC, so that made it, difficult. So Mike and I finally decided, we're like, you know what, we need a PC so we can play these games, So Mike bought a PC specifically for this video, for the AVGN Games video. I was busy working on the Alien 3 video at the time. And meanwhile, Mike was working on trying to figure out how to use this PC and everything, mainly how to get the game footage off the PC so that we could edit it on our Mac so that we could make the video. So he spent probably a month working out all these technical bugs just so that when I finished the Alien 3 video, I'd be all set to work on this next one. So the first thing is we try to record the footage on the PC. And everybody keeps saying, like, why don't you use Fraps? We used Fraps. It didn't work on every game. It worked on some games, but not all of them, because all these games were fan-made games, so a lot of them would be something different about each game. So every game, there was some different way we had to record it. And then when we did get it recorded, whenever we were able to successfully record a game, then we had to figure out how to get it onto the Mac so that we could edit the footage and make the video. So Mike and Ryan, who does our web design at Cinemassacre.com, he worked with Mike to build him a PC computer and to get a FireWire port on it so that they could get the footage off. And then they also tried something with a network. They tried actually sending the footage from the one computer to the Mac over a network, and that didn't work because it was too slow, and the footage, it was the large files. So they eventually got it through the FireWire. They got it onto the Mac, but it would always be a different kind of file format. So then they would have to convert the file so that it could actually play on the Mac. And then once they would do that, a lot of times the footage would be all messed up.
Look at this shit. Look what it's doing. Obviously that's not right.
And I think with the AVGN Adventures game, we eventually did get the footage to work, but it always had this yellow sort of stripe at the bottom. Or like a lot of times with the text, you would see that the bottom part is yellow. And we don't know why it did that, but that was better than all the other glitches that we had. So we were happy to have that. For the rest of the games, we recorded it straight onto the camera. So we couldn't even bother with anything anymore, so we just filmed it straight off the screen, which was a real pain in the ass. So every one of those games that I'm playing, it was a nightmare. And there were so many games too, so it was just hours and hours of just back-breaking, wrist-breaking hours of just trying to record all these games. And as far as the sound goes, the audio, we could have probably recorded it onto the actual built-in microphone on the camera, but we didn't want to do that. Because Mike and I were talking while we were playing the games and stuff, so we needed clear, uninterrupted sound. So to get good, clean sound, we ran a cable from the PC all the way into the Mac, so it was recording the audio in real time. So basically we had the video file that was recorded on the camera, and then we had the audio file that was recorded onto the Mac. We would have to sync up the audio and the video for every one of those games in every clip that we recorded. Another notable thing about the AVGN Games AVGN episode was that Board James makes a cameo because a fan sent me an AVGN Monopoly game. So we thought it was perfect to bring Board James in, and I've been wanting to try and bring Board James back for so long. I want to get those episodes going again, but right now it's just on halt because of, Whenever there's time free from the movie, I work on the episodes. Whenever there's time free from the episodes, which there never is, then it's like, you got to be caught up with one thing first before you can move on. But it was always a weird thing. I never knew if having Board James in a nerd episode would work, because it's the same guy, basically. It's me. Like, I don't really change anything other than the hat, So I didn't know if that was going to work. I thought about it for a while, but then I did it, and it seemed to work pretty well. The hard thing, though, when you film those split screen kind of things where you have one person sitting next to, you film yourself once and then you film yourself again from the other side as the other character. The hardest thing about doing that is getting the timing right, because when the other character's saying the line, the other character needs to be listening. And you need to give enough time. And no matter how many times I do it, no matter how many times I say the line in my head, sometimes I even have like a recording that I like interact off of. No matter how many times I do it, it always seems like I'm not giving enough time, because then when you go to edit, it's all screwed up, and the characters' lines are overlapping one another. So it's hard to get the master shot. So most of the time you're always just seeing the close-ups of just the talking heads going back and forth, because that's a lot easier. Then there is the AVGN Christmas episode, which we do every year. So this was the wish list episode. Originally we were going to call it Wish Book, because it was very much focused on the Wish books, those old books from Sears, which, it's explained in the video. But that was very nostalgic for Mike and I. Mike found those books, and I guess he got them off eBay or something, and he showed them to me, and I was like, wow, I remember these. So it was really a trip. That really took me back to the past with those Wish books. And the nature of the episode, at first we didn't know what we were doing. Mike and I talked about it, and Mike would always tell me, this game has a lot of requests, and that game has a lot of requests. He showed me a game, for example, Bubsy, and I looked at it, and I played it for a little bit, and I was like, I don't know, it's not really giving me enough material. It's bad, it's a bad game, but I don't really know if I can make a great episode on that. And then there's all the talk about the Sonic games, and it was just like, there were so many requests that I didn't really think would have been good for a full episode. So whenever there was something like that, I thought, why don't we just take a bunch of short episodes and throw it all into one thing, kind of like with How the Nerd Stole Christmas, which was one of my favorite of the Nerd Christmas specials, because it tackled a bunch of games really fast. And it's like, does it always have to be this long, detailed critique? Sometimes I just want it to be something short and funny, something concise and to the point. So we did that, and it was just self-explanatory, just a bunch of basic game reviews, and it was answering some of the requests. So it really was like a Christmas gift. It was like, this was the fans' wish list. So I think it was a perfect idea. The next one, the first episode of 2014, was Big Rigs. Big Rigs was a game I always wanted to do for a long time, but there was one problem. It was a PC game. So Mike and I, like I already talked about, we had to figure out a way to record PC games, and that was the reason why we were never able to get to it for so long. And then since we went out of our way to figure out all the technical issues with the AVGN Games one, now we finally were ready to to do it. We were like, okay, we got it figured out. It was still a huge pain. Actually, I remember I tried to record Big Rigs on my Mac many years ago on a program called Parallels, which runs Windows on a Mac, and I tried it, and it didn't really. It actually was, the game would run, but it was very glitchy, like extremely glitchy. The truck would leave like a trail, and the game itself is already glitchy, so it was even more glitchy, if you could believe it. Besides the technical hurdles, Big Rigs was another one that for a while I wasn't sure how I was going to do it. I always thought maybe it could just be a James and Mike video. Actually, when Mike was doing his glitch series, just doing a bunch of glitches in games, we thought maybe Big Rigs could be like the last episode of that, because it was like the most glitchiest game of all time. But then eventually I decided, what, this will work as a nerd episode. I see the reason I wasn't sure before, because the game is so bad. It's like, how do you even critique it? It's like, it's by far the worst game that the Nerd has ever reviewed, if you count it as a game, because I mean, you can't you can't lose. It's just it's shocking. Still, it's hard to believe, how did that game go so wrong? That made it perfect, but it was kind of hard to figure out, how do I critique what is so obvious already. I tried to make the video just basic, just how you would normally react to it while you're playing. So I would improv a lot in that video and just kind of react to what's happening on screen and just let it be what it is. The most fun part of the video, obviously, was the commercial. It was really fun to do that. I even copied it onto VHS just so that it would look like it was taped off TV, a long time ago. Although it was kind of odd, because Big Rigs isn't that old of a game. It was from, I almost forget already, I think it was 2003. And I was trying to figure out, should it be widescreen or should it just be, in, square 4:3? So, it could have been either, because it was sort of in that era of technology where it could have gone either way. But I decided to make it more old school, because that's how we, remember a lot of those classic game commercials. And the character was very fun to play. It was probably the first time in a while when I got to play somebody who isn't really the nerd. I mean, it is, but it isn't. It's just a new. I call him Mr. Riggs. I just feel like I would like to bring that character back again. He was really fun to play. And the tattoos, my wife drew them all on my arms with markers. They're not real. Actually, two of them are real, actually. I have a Judas Priest tattoo, the trident symbol, and I have a dragon on my arm. So if you see the video, The Dragon in My Dreams, you know where the dragon comes from. Then came the Desert Bus video. This was another one that I heard about for a long time, and I knew the idea. It's just a game where you drive a bus for 8 hours. So I always figured, what am I going to do with that? Like, there isn't much material to work off of. So I always was hesitant on that one. Although it is hilarious that such a game exists, and that it was made by Penn and Teller. Penn and Teller are great entertainers. They put on amazing shows. I've seen them live a couple times, so definitely see them if you ever get the chance. And the game that they made was just completely meant to be a joke, and it was part of the whole Smoke and Mirrors game. And originally I thought that maybe because I wouldn't get much material off a Desert Bus, I'll just focus on the whole Smoke and Mirrors. There's probably enough with all those mini games to work off of. But then I realized that most of those mini games there isn't really a lot to work off of for a video like this, because a lot of those are just sort of tricks you play on your friends, and I'd kind of be doing a disservice by explaining them all for anyone who wants to try them. Although a lot of those things did not work, unfortunately. I tried a lot of them. For example, I'll just tell you. I mean, there's a game on there where the whole idea is you're playing two players with a friend, and while you're playing, it's like a 2D shooting game, and you put in a little code, a little button command, and then it makes your friend start dying like crazy. So basically you just make it seem like your friend sucks at the game, and you can keep adjusting how much he or she will be losing. And it didn't work for me. I would keep trying the button commands, and it wouldn't work. So a lot of those things I just wasn't sure if I was doing something wrong. So I figured it was best just to focus on the Desert Bus thing, because it actually did turn out that even though it didn't have much material to work on, it's all about how much you milk it. Just push it as far as it can go. To play the game yourself, you just have to find it, because it was never officially released. I know most people have played it online, but somebody sent it to me as a physical disc. So I actually played it on a real Sega CD. It was like a copied disc that somebody made of it. So the whole video while I'm playing, I actually am playing on the real Sega CD. This was also the Nerds 10-year anniversary episode, and I've already done every kind of thing I could think of for like a special event kind of video, so I didn't really know what to do with this other than just make a regular video. But I think it turned out really well with the Castlevania Redacted thing at the end. That was a good way to end it. I always thought that would make like a good kind of special video or something, but there wasn't enough material with that one to make a whole episode, so that's why it ended up at the end of Desert Bus. So that was another one I wasn't really sure what to do. 'Cause Mike and I were talking about it for a while because we were thinking so should maybe do something with Jekyll and Hyde or Simon's Quest, and I'm just like, I've done it. I mean, I've already done the revisited episodes and everything, so we were all out of ideas for what to do for a 10-year anniversary, but then it all came together, and the timing with the feature film coming out that summer, it was just like the planets aligned. It's the 10-year anniversary. Let's end the video with a cliffhanger for the movie, which isn't the first time I've done that. The Spielberg Games episode was a cliffhanger for the movie, but boy was I wrong. I thought, maybe then the movie would come out right after that, but nope. Many more years in the making, so just a lot more work than I thought. But this time it was going to be the real cliffhanger. That was the whole idea. This is going to be the cliffhanger. It comes out in May, right on the 10-year anniversary, and it was going to lead right into the announcement of the premiere, of premiering the movie at the Egyptian Theater. Unfortunately, we didn't have all the paperwork done with the theater yet. Not everything was set in stone yet, so it was just a little bit too early to announce it. So that's why the video just ends with plain black. I almost thought of saying, AVGen movie coming soon, but I think everybody got the idea. So I think it was better just to leave it vague like that. I think everybody knew. And then the announcement came shortly after, so it was all good timing, the 10-year. So this DVD also includes the Beetlejuice episode. So it was coming back right from the movie. This was actually the first new episode after the movie, unless you count the E.T. review, because we did release that as an online exclusive just for this is the web version of it's confusing. It's like the episode of the scene in the movie. So it was just an episode version of that. And it was just the timing. These two DVDs are coming out at the same time. So I think right now let's just leave E.T. as the movie. Like it's part of the movie. But we did count it as an episode. It was episode 120. So basically that's on the movie DVD as part of the movie, obviously. So we continue with the nerd, with the actual episodes with Beetlejuice. And Beetlejuice was another game that was on the list for a long time, especially because it's an LJN game. So I always wanted to try and knock down all the LJN games eventually. I think it was a good episode. I liked that there wasn't much pressure with this one. It was just, it's a Halloween episode. So yeah, we wanted to, get that out in time for, to keep with tradition that it's Halloween. But also, it was kind of like just going back to making a basic episode again. Like, I don't have to plug a movie at the end or anything like that. No big expectations. Just do, what I do. And I had a lot of fun with that one. I really liked the part with the star, Beetlejuice, because the joke was, it could have been a simple line. See, it's all about how you milk things. Like, how far can you go with a joke? It could have just been a simple line that says, this game has more to do with the star Beetlejuice than it does with the movie. Well, I thought, wouldn't it be funny as if you could actually back that up with facts? What if it really does have more to do with the star? So then it was, well, can I figure out any connections with the star of Beetlejuice with the game? And then, I do some research and I'd be like, no, I don't know. This isn't going to work. But then, oh wait, here, this works. I got this. And it's like, oh, here's another fact. Okay, this is good. And then I kept going until it was like, okay, this is good now. So it was just building and building and building on a joke. And then that's what I think makes it funny, when it's just how far are you going to go with something. Destroying the game at the end. It's a classic AVGN tradition that I don't do too often because I don't typically like to destroy games, for one thing, and I mean, some of these games, it's like you destroy it, it's gone. It's like, even if the game isn't that rare, it's kind of like, is the sacrifice worth it? And it is when it's funny, when it's a fresh thing. But after I've done it so many times, it gets to the point where it's like, okay, well, it's really not that fresh and original anymore. But with Beetlejuice, it hadn't been done for a while, and I thought it was time to do it again. And the game was not destroyed. Most of the time when I do this, I destroy something different. Usually it's another game that is more common. So what I used was, I already forget actually. I think it was a Top Gun game, because those are really common. So I printed out the label and made a fake Beetlejuice game. So that's what it is, and you compare it side by side with the original, and it looks really close. So that's the one I destroyed. Used a hammer to make it a little easier, and that was a good way to end the video. And I think with this past year of Nerd Episodes, I did a really good job with the endings, because a lot of times that can be the hardest part, is how do you end this? Like, how do you end on a good note, on a funny note. The AVGN Games episode, I delete the file. It was the first time the nerd couldn't destroy a game physically because it's only a file on a computer. The wish list one ends with the nerd. Oh, I forgot to say, with the wish list episode, a lot of times when I'm screaming, my voice peaks, the microphone distorts. It's not shit! I'll do another take, and another take, and another take, and every time I do another take, it kept peaking. It's not shit! So a lot of times I'm dubbing my voice back in. It's not shit! Basically, I would just say the word over and over and over again, because then I have a lot of options that I can use. So I would use the one that works and just patch up the audio. So that was really a pain in the ass, and I have to do that a lot now because a lot of times my daughter is upstairs and she's making noise and she's crying, and it's like there's always noise in the house, so it's very hard to do this. So a lot of times if there's a noise from upstairs, then it's like I just have to re-record myself. Sometimes it's easier to just do the audio separate and then dub it in than getting the video audio right at the same time, like now. So but yeah, anyway, I like the endings of a lot of the videos this year. I liked the Big Rigs. It ends with basically a Spaceballs spoof, which is funny in itself because it's like spoofing a spoof. I do have to say, all the videos this past year had a good ending. Now it's all about, how do I end this documentary right now?
Well, I know you've all seen James's Ghostbusters reviews already, but there's a few Ghostbusters games that I found laying around down here that weren't included, so I thought we should take a quick look. The Ghostbusters games that I knew growing up were the ones for Atari 2600 and NES, which were both basically the same game. In fact, the first NES game I owned, besides Mario Duck Hunt, was Ghostbusters. What an appropriate introduction to the console, right? At the time, I had a friend that had Ghostbusters 2, though I didn't own it myself. I didn't really want that one because the first game left a sour taste in my mouth, and I wasn't a die-hard fan of the movie. I thought it was okay, but not worth spending $50 on. However, I did love the cartoon show, The Real Ghostbusters, and I used to always wonder why Nintendo didn't make a game out of the cartoon show. I didn't find out until later that they did in fact release a Real Ghostbusters related game, but it was only for the Game Boy. So, it was a surprise when I found out about that. Then soon after, I came to find out that there was yet another Ghostbusters game for the NES that I never even knew about, but this time for good reason. The new Ghostbusters was released in Europe only, which is why it flew right past my PKE meter, and I didn't know about it. So I'd say it's about time I take a look at all these lost Ghostbusters games from my past and see what they were like. So here we have The Real Ghostbusters for Game Boy. This was made by the same people who brought you all those notoriously repetitive Crazy Castle puzzle games. The game doesn't have a lot of connections to anything Ghostbusters related other than the fact that you play as Peter Venkman and you have a proton pack. Well, sort of. The proton stream looks more like if you held out a lightsaber and jabbed it into the floor than a proton beam. You don't even use the beam to catch ghosts. You drop bombs to blow the ghosts up. How wrong is that? You're supposed to need special equipment to destroy a ghost. No thought went into this. You use your beam to blow up tiles and collect little stars that give you keys to open doors. And that's what every level consists of. It's unvaried and it's tiresome, just like the Crazy Castle games. And there's almost no variety to the enemies that you fight. There's either these little guys that look like witches, or there's this ghost, and that's it. At least the Crazy Castle games had a larger mishmash of Looney Tunes characters chasing after bugs. They weren't even trying with this. There's one boss fight if you make it all the way to the end, where you try and trap a large ghost inside some bricks, and yeah, exciting, right? There's just nothing interesting to say about it, which sadly is the case for the entire game. It's just a huge disappointment if you're a Ghostbusters fan. So anyway, at least now you know not to waste your time with it. Let's move on. Next, there was the new Ghostbusters, released by HAL, the makers of the Lolo and Kirby games, in 1991. Not only is this game way better than that crappy Game Boy game that I just showed you, but it's also a vast improvement over the lackluster Activision NES titles that us Americans grew up with. For one thing, you can actually choose which Ghostbuster you want to be, and they include all 4 Ghostbusters. Yes, even Winston. Though I think they needed to watch the movies again because they made him blue. But better yet, you can even choose Rick Moranis' character, Louis Tully. That would have blew my mind as a kid, because he was always my favorite character from the movies. If not simply for the fact that he mentioned Mario Brothers in the second movie. That may seem like no big deal now, but back then, hearing the words Mario Brothers during an actual movie in the theater was like having a nerdgasm. So you have all these characters to choose from, but you can only choose 2 at a time. One Ghostbuster uses the proton beam, while the other sets the traps. To anyone who's ever seen the second film, you should find all the locations very familiar. There's the courthouse, where you fight the Scoleri brothers, the subway with runaway carts that pop out of nowhere, the sewers that are overflowing with pink slime, the museum, and Dr. Venkman's apartment building. This level's a real pain, because you have to go up 5 flights of floors, fighting off Jigglypuff impersonators, and it gets really repetitive. There's endless assortments of ghosts to catch, and it's a lot of fun, but it just goes on forever, and it becomes so repetitive. The variety of ghosts is impressive, though. There's a Leatherface type ghost with a chainsaw, a green troll-like monster, and all the ghosts are animated to do different things. For example, Slimer will throw food and metal carts at you. One thing that's a bit annoying is that you're forced to catch every single ghost. The door to progress won't open unless you rid the entire room of all the slimy foes. I wouldn't mind this, except for the fact that there's a limited amount of continues. So if you die, you're gonna find yourself back at the beginning of the game, and you're gonna have to go through the whole thing over again, which makes the game unnecessarily difficult. Also, another thing that gets annoying is that sometimes player 2 will get stuck behind and he won't be able to join up with you. You'll be left standing there roping a ghost with nobody there to trap it. So you'll have to walk back and get the computer player unstuck. In fact, most of the time when you're killed, it's the computer's fault because player 2 isn't standing in the right position to catch the ghost. It'll have you screaming, "It's not my fault!" repeatedly at the television. The final bosses include a giant-headed Janosch and finally Vigo. But good luck making it there on only 3 continues because this game is harder than the stone lions outside of the New York Public Library. There was a real Ghostbusters arcade game made in 1987. It was ported to many different consoles like the Amiga, ZX Spectrum, and Commodore 64. I have the Commodore version here. I remember playing the arcade game a long time ago, and I have nostalgic memories of that, but as a game, it was nothing too special. It was fun just because it was Ghostbusters, but the gameplay was like playing Akari Warriors. Very repetitive, but there's at least a different boss at the end of each level to make you want to keep playing. Overall, though, the Commodore version is just a lesser port with worse graphics and music. It's not really worth playing. And finally, I want to talk about Extreme Ghostbusters for the Game Boy Advance. There's an introduction sequence where they give you a plot explanation, and it has crappy still frames of Egon and Janine that look like they were done in MS Paint. The plot of this game is that a count kidnaps 2 of the Ghostbusters team, and the remaining Ghostbusters, Eduardo and Kylie of the Extreme Ghostbusters, race to rescue their friends from the evil vampire menace. Pretty corny, but whatever. I really only care about how the gameplay is, so let's take a look. There's driving stages, and then there's platforming stages. You start off and you drive to your destination in the Ecto-1, and you're driving around collecting clocks. That's something I'd expect from a Back to the Future game, not Ghostbusters. Hell, even the NES game knew enough to have you catching ghosts. When you get to the building, it goes to platforming style gameplay. You switch between characters by hitting L. 2 of the characters have different abilities. The girl jumps really high, and the guy has a powerful beam. It kind of reminds me of Super Mario Bros. 2. Luigi jumps high and Toad is strong. But you know, why would Egon equip her with a less powerful proton pack? Does he have something against her or something? Speaking of these characters, the 2 that you're trying to save are Roland and Garrett. A black guy and a guy in a wheelchair. It just doesn't seem right to me that those are the two characters that they left out of the game. I think it's a little bit offensive that they chose to omit those characters from the game. Why not make Egon the one that you're trying to save? Well, I guess they were too busy filling in his jumpsuit with the Microsoft Paint bucket to consider that. I have to say, I think the level of difficulty is just right in this game. It can get challenging, but it doesn't get so hard that it's impossible. They at least got the balance right in the game. The controls are very basic and they're easy to use. The graphics are decent, and it seems like they put some extra care into the backgrounds, so there are some positives. But what I really don't like is the camera. When you stop to turn around, the screen wobbles around and it makes you feel like you want to puke. Even when you fire your weapon, the screen moves around. What's the point of jerking the screen all over the place like this? It makes me nauseous. Another thing that sucks is the music. This is one of those TV on mute, throw on a CD games. The main thing I don't like about the game is just the fact that you're not playing with the actual Ghostbusters from the films. I don't care, I want it to be either Peter, Ray, Egon, Winston, or Lewis. They're the real Ghostbusters to me, and I don't like all those other phonies. That's how I feel, at least. But if you can get past that fact, the game is okay. It has its flaws, and it's certainly nothing special. But you know, had this game been released for the NES, I think we would have thought it was awesome. However, this is Game Boy Advance, so you'd expect something better. There was also Ghostbusters 2 on Game Boy, but that's just mostly the same as the new Ghostbusters, with worse graphics. Out of all the retro Ghostbusters games, the new Ghostbusters is certainly worth playing, but you're best off probably playing the Ghostbusters game on Genesis. Genesis does what Nintendo don't. Game Boy, Game Gear. It was always an argument which one was better. For me, it was no contest. The Sega Game Gear was clearly better than the Nintendo Game Boy. Now, that said, I want to address something. A lot of people seem to be under the false impression that I'm a Sega guy. Well, the truth is, I grew up a Nintendo kid. I had the NES, Super Nintendo, and all the other Nintendo consoles, but even though I was mostly a Nintendo kid, I did have the Game Gear, and I loved it. When I was a kid, I saw the Game Gear before I saw the Game Boy, and I thought it was awesome. It was in color, it was backlit, and it even had some awesome Donald Duck games. That was more than enough to get me drooling right there. Shortly after, I saw the Game Boy, and I couldn't believe it was only in black and white. I wrote the Game Boy off as a piece of crap for many years because of that, and it wasn't until some years later that I grew an appreciation for some of the amazing Game Boy games there were, like Super Mario Land and Link's Awakening. So I do love the Game Boy now, just not back then. Anyway, I always wanted to review some Game Gear games, but there was always one thing that stood in my way. The only way to record footage off a Game Gear is to videotape the screen, and that sucks because there's a glare on it, making it hard to even see. With the Game Boy, you can play the games on the Super Game Boy and record the footage that way, because the Super Nintendo plugs right into the TV. But with the Game Gear, there's no RCA output, so there's really no way to record the footage. Until now, that is. I'm sure by this point you've all seen the Nintoaster in the Angry Video Game Nerd episodes. Well, I contacted the guy that constructed the Nintoaster, and I told him about my desire to review Game Gear games and asked if he could help me. Well, I'm not going to try and explain exactly what he did because it's really technical, but essentially he made it so that I can connect the Game Gear to the TV, and also added a port on the front so I could use a Sega Master System controller to play the games on the TV. Basically turning the portable Game Gear into a console instead of a handheld. If you're interested in knowing more about how he accomplished all that, click the link in the video description for a more elaborate explanation. So I know that plenty of other people have done reviews of Game Gear games using emulators, but as you know, I like to do everything with the actual games, so it's possible that this might just be the first time anybody's ever done a Game Gear review recording footage directly with an actual Game Gear. Anyway, let's get to the reviews, shall we? I got a bin full of Game Gear games here, so let's dig in and see what we got. How about this one? I always loved the Streets of Rage games. That was probably my favorite beat-em-up on the Genesis. The plot is simple. 3 rookie cops named Axel, Blaze, and Skate have to defend the city against an evil organization. There's a pretty good assortment of enemies to fight with different attack patterns. You can pick between a few different characters. There's Axel and another guy with roller skates, but the one I like the best is the girl, Blaze. She's got a sweep kick that knocks enemies down, which I like a lot. Axel has a cool combo attack too, but it's a little hard to pull off because you have to use the D-pad. The Genesis had 3 buttons where the Game Gear only has 2, so there's no kick button here, which is disappointing. You can get some different weapons to fight with, like a knife or a steel pipe. The pipe is the best thing about the game, if you ask me. It allows you to hit people at a distance, and it's fun as hell beating up these fat bastards with it. They always make the fat fucks do belly flops, don't they? You'll never have more fun than when you're hitting blonde bimbos in the face with a pipe. Overall, it's a good beat-em-up worth owning, but not quite as good as its console counterpart. How about Ninja Gaiden for the Game Gear? Just like the NES game, you slash with the sword and jump off the walls while navigating hazardous environments and killing bad guys. To use your projectile items, you press down on the D-pad and the 1 button. That's one thing that I don't like, because whenever you try to attack low, you end up wasting your projectiles. On the second stage, there's guys with machine guns that attack you, and they look kind of like Guile from Street Fighter 2. Everything's pretty simple here, even the level boss. It's just a guy that pops out of portholes on the ship and you attack him. It's extremely easy. For stage 3, they have you climbing up a building, and you can jump from side to side. You know, where have I seen this before? Is this where they got the idea for that iPad game, Ninja Jump? Sneaky bastards. The bosses are all fairly easy, like this guy that looks like a dance instructor hopping around on one toe. You just attack and jump. The patterns aren't hard to figure out at all. If you kill him, he leaves behind his nasty fart cloud. Ooh. If you do actually die on a boss, they send you back to the beginning of the level. Why can't they just start you on the boss room? That is really dumb. This Game Gear version is a lot easier than the NES game, which really could have used a password system since it was unforgivingly difficult. Well, this game does have a password system, though you wouldn't know it. On the title screen, there's nothing other than an option to start the game. If you want to enter a password, you have to unlock the ultra secret screen. The first thing, you have to hit a button so that the title screen fully appears so that it isn't moving. Then you hit the 1 button 16 times followed by start. Yeah, 16 goddamn times. Count them. Oh, by the way, Richard put a start button on my Sega Master System controller, so normally you'd hit the start button with the actual Game Gear. Anyway, if done right, you can enter a password. It's not even worth it though, because the game is short and it's not even that difficult. Why make the password screen so secretive? I guess because it's a ninja game. Password vanish! Alright, let's take a look at this game, Chuck Rock. This is a caveman themed game where you play as Chuck, who's on a journey to get home. On the first level, you come to a dead end. What do? Well, you chuck the rock, of course, hence the name of the game. Chuck places the rocks on the ground so he can jump on top of them and reach higher platforms. Or he'll put the stones in the middle of a thorny bush to get by. If an enemy approaches Chuck, you have to use your attack to defend yourself. What's your weapon? A stone axe? A spear? No. You fuck enemies to death with your mighty pelvic thrust. Now that's awesome. You have to travel through 4 different levels: the jungle, the swamp, an ice cavern, and a weird cave with dead elephants impaled on spikes. All the while fighting hordes of prehistoric animals along the way. Sometimes you'll encounter friendly animals that'll help you advance, like the pterodactyl, which will pick you up, a frog that you can bounce off, or the woolly mammoth that'll fling you upward. And other times you'll get a bag of peas for bonus points. Where did a labeled bag of peas come from in prehistoric times? Is there some kind of time-traveling grocery clerk subplot we don't know about? But actually, the whole game has a cartoony, comical feel to it. If you get hit, Chuck's eyes bug out of his head. And the creatures all have personalities, like this swordfish, or this funny bone with a clown nose. And this is another part I like. It almost seems like Chuck is doing the moonwalk. I wonder if that was intentional. This is a game of trial and error. You might die trying to figure out what to do the first time around, but once you learn how to safely progress through an area, it becomes simple. I don't have a single bad thing to say about this game. Everything was done right. It's funny and it's got good gameplay. If you have a Game Gear, this is definitely worth owning. Okay, the incredible Crash Test Dummies. With this game, you take on the role of a crash dummy, and instead of just crashing cars like in the commercials, now they have them performing a variety of dangerous stunts like jumping off of buildings. They're doing all this as side jobs to earn some extra cash. Why a crash dummy needs money, I will never know, but that's besides the point. Most of the levels in the game seem like stolen concepts from classic arcade games, except poorly executed. If you remember the classic arcade game Tapper, where you have to fill up root beer mugs, well, here they have you smashing bombs with a hammer going down conveyor belts, but the controls are terrible. The first 3 boards are all really easy. Level 1 you jump off a building, level 2 you drive a car and try to pick up air containers, then level 3 you ski down a mountain and try to touch the flags. It's all very simple. And then the bomb factory comes along. It becomes 10 times harder because the control is such garbage. The way they have you move between the conveyor belts is really awkward and it should have been designed differently. So the game goes from being way too easy to way too hard when this stage comes along. It really sucks. Stage 5 is a ripoff of the arcade game Gravatar, but again with worse controls, and that's the last one. There's only 5 events in the game, which means you'll probably do everything there is to do the first time you play the game. I got this game for $1, so I really don't care, but had I bought the game when it came out and paid the full price, I would have been royally pissed off. It's an awful game, stay away. Okay, so now here's a game that is a real pile of crap. X-Men Game Master's Legacy. When you start, you can pick either Cyclops or Storm. The goal of the game is to rescue the other members of the X-Men team that have been kidnapped, so you can play as the other characters later, but for now you're going to have to settle for Cyclops or Storm. So I picked Cyclops, and this level, that's a big mansion. But this isn't a mansion that could ever exist in real life. It must have 30 flights of stairs, which is just dumb. And I know video game levels aren't usually that realistic, but this one goes so overboard that it's to the point where, for me, it's just not passable. You walk to the left or to the right, and there's only 2 things going on. First, there's these enemies that shoot at you. You can just jump over their bullets and then attack them. But if one of these guys is under the stairs, you won't be able to jump the bullets and attack because you'll just end up on top of the stairs. Then you'll have to go back down the stairs and walk towards the guy and end up getting hit. Your only other option is to use Cyclops' laser, but at first I couldn't even figure out how to use it. I hit the 1 and the 2 buttons, but that either jumps or attacks. To switch to his laser, you have to hit start. You understand why I wouldn't get that at first, right? Normally the start button is to pause the game, but not here. Not to mention, when you do use your mutant power, there's a gauge for it, and if the meter runs out, that's it, you can't use it anymore. So you're out of luck, and you're going to be stuck with your fist. And that also sucks because the collision detection is god-awful. And by the way, if you use Storm, her attack is just this little blue zap. Shouldn't she have a tornado or something cool? Cyclops does have his laser, but it's pathetic. It's just a little dash, like the hyphen on your keyboard. What happened to his huge, powerful laser blast that he's supposed to have? Anyway, the second thing going on in this endless mansion of boredom is that every 5 feet is a chandelier which drops a crystal on your head. This causes Cyclops to be injured, so you have to be patient and wait to walk underneath. What a superhero. A stupid ceiling light kicks his ass. When I finally got down to the bottom, I went all the way to the left and all the way to the right of the stage, but there was no exit, it's just a dead end. So I have to assume that there's something I missed, but I'll be damned if I'm gonna go back up 30 flights of stairs trying to figure out what to do. The level is just too huge and convoluted. This game is really god-awful. Why couldn't they have just made it a little bit more similar to the awesome X-Men arcade game? Well, that's it for now. Maybe I'll review some of these other Game Gear games another time, but right now I think I'm gonna have to play the X-Men arcade game to cleanse myself of that awful Game Master's Legacy thing. Oh god.
X-Men, welcome to die!
Hey, right over there.
Here's Kyle.
Oh, Kyle. He has a long trip. He was here only for the after parties. Yeah, he's been here before, previous years, but this is also the first year we've had Bootsy. So Bootsy is first con. Bootsy, how do you like the first con?
That was like a Springsteen chant there.
Yeah.
Boots.
So this is your first con. Is this what you expected?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's been great. This guy has some amazing fans, and you're all here, and I met some nice people, and it's been great. Thank you so much for coming out this weekend. It's awesome.
Hey, yeah, right behind you.
If you could put any video game character in the new Smash Brothers game, what would it be?
If you were to put a new video game character in the new Smash Brothers game, what would it be?
Scrooge McDuck.
I don't know. I have to think.
Back in like the days of like the arcade, like you know how you go up to an arcade machine, you put a quarter in, and you go and you die, you lose your lives, and at one point you run out of lives. But games today, like lives sort of have no point. What's your stance on that?
I think that's a good point. I think it's a good question. I grew up playing Atari, and that's how it was. Like a lot of those games were unforgiving. There were no continues. You turned off the system. You can, now games are cater a little more to people who just want to beat it, and I feel like some video game companies are afraid of upsetting people by challenging them a little bit. So I'm into that. I'm into having a certain level, a certain number of lives, because it's you feel much more accomplished if you get through something when you're only limited to a few lives, I think.
What is the worst film you've ever seen that you absolutely hate?
What's the worst film is the question. The worst film that I absolutely hate. I don't know. I mean, off the top of my head, the only thing I can think of is Baby's Day Out, something like that.
I have it on DVD.
You have it on DVD.
We used it for that video.
Oh, the
Frankenstein.
top 10 movie clips that have nothing to do with that scene in Frankenstein where the monster throws a girl in the pond?
Yeah, that video.
What about you guys? What's your hated movie?
I saw a movie on Netflix last year, and it was Master of Disguise with Dana Carvey.
I've never seen that.
I sat through the entire thing, and it was the worst movie I've ever seen in my entire life. Easily.
Wow, that's saying a lot.
I don't know. Bootsy and I just recently watched Titanic 2.
Yeah, Titanic 2.
When did the idea of making a movie came about?
The idea for the movie for the nerd came about late 2006. When he brought the idea of E.T. to me, the landfill.
Well, back in college, I used to show him games like the Atari porn games and all that, and then I would always be looking at like Atari Age, and I found out about the landfill and all that, and then I told James about it.
Yeah, Mike brought to me the idea of the Atari landfill back then, and it was.
And then after that, James got talking with Kevin, the co-director on the movie, and they got together and he came up with a script for this movie, which is coming out.
Yeah,
soon.
because Kevin and I basically, it was like we talked about making a feature film since high school, and then we finally actually started talking about it then seriously, and we're like, oh yeah, how about let's do that movie, let's make it a nerd movie. And then the final piece of the puzzle, with that story you told me, and I was like, that sounds great. That just sounds like it's the perfect nerdy quest for a movie.
They haven't found all those cartridges yet, have they?
They haven't found 2 million at least.
Yeah.
Remember when Captain Albano played Mario?
Yes. I know what's coming. Go ahead. Yeah. Oh, that was it. Oh, yeah. Well, I remember that. That was, yeah.
What is your thoughts on the 2012 version of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that's on Nickelodeon right now?
You know, I'm really behind on Ninja Turtles. The question is what I think of the new Ninja Turtles show. We did a video a few years ago about the original cartoon, and it took years just to watch every episode of the original cartoon. I mean, that thing just went on and on.
It's 10 seasons, and we took notes on every single episode.
Yeah, and because we wanted to be thorough, because we wanted to get everything. We didn't want to miss anything. And then by the time I got to that, it was like, okay, now there's the new show, because then there's not
the 2002
Nickelodeon
series.
Yeah, and we're like, well, now next time we're going to do that. But now there's a Nickelodeon series, so we're never going to catch up. So to answer the question, I haven't even seen enough of the 2000 series yet, so I haven't gotten to the Nickelodeon series yet. I just haven't gotten there. I'm behind with Turtles. But now we got a movie coming out again, and it looks like crap. I don't know.
Nick Jones awesome. Why are you so goddamn angry all the time? Are you normally this angry? Like with,
Why am I so goddamn angry all the time? You've seen the games I play.
Out of all the movies you made, but this one in particular because it's a feature, what would you say was the hardest part? Pre-production, production itself, or post-production?
I'd say the post-production was the most time-consuming. It seemed like the most hours put in, but I think really the most difficult was the production, was shooting it. Yeah, just too many factors, just too many unpredictable problems and stuff, and things where you didn't even have time to fix. It was like, okay, well, you're here on this day, you have all these people here, they're only going to be here this day, and it's just, if you screw up that day, it's like, okay, well, you lost it. You lost the day. It took you so long to prepare and plan for that one day, and now it just goes by, and it's like you're left with whatever mistakes you have, and then you got to fix it in like pickup shoots and editing. So a lot of times you'll like maybe get like you'll find ways to work in little shots, like little close-ups that you didn't get, that you're able to slip in, and then fix it all up, like patch up all the holes, in the edit. And then the editing's then the last chance you have to fix everything. So get it the way you want.
That's why James is so angry, by the way. That's
Oh,
what
there you go.
makes it.
Yeah.
Did that losing a day happen at all during the shoot?
Oh,
or-
all the time.
Oh, did
Like
it?
tons of times we just didn't get our shots. But then I'm amazed how we pulled through and we managed to fix so many things that we screwed up or that went wrong. You know, so I'm actually really impressed with how it all came together. Because there were days where I was like, how the hell are we going to do this? Like, what, you know, this is all going wrong. But now I'm really happy with the end result and how it came out, and like it's amazing.
What was the worst game you had to play, like on a personal, like fun factor level when recording the footage? What was your worst experience when playing the game?
Oh, okay. Like which was the worst game that I played? That was really the worst experience in making the episode, everything that, you know, so just worst all around.
Yeah, not like glitches like with big rigs or
Yeah.
blandness like with Desert Bus, but like overall like you just felt horrible playing.
Just that made me feel the most horrible while playing it. Jekyll and Hyde.
That's right.
Yeah. We tried playing that again just the other day.
Yeah.
Here.
We were playing with Alpha Omega, who was just doing a panel in here,
Yeah.
and a group of people, and
And
everybody thought it was just the worst game. The thing about it is, you've seen the videos of James, you know, saying, or the nerd saying how bad it is, but until you've actually played it, you should go home or something and get the game and play
No,
it.
don't.
Really, well, yeah. If you want to know how bad it really is, you have to actually play it.
it's my most hated game of all time. It still is.
Recently, you guys were just saying about how you don't think they found all of the cartridges yet for ET in the landfill.
It's an interesting topic because it's like, you know, I mean, there's so many landfills that probably have that game in it. You could dig up any landfill and find that game because so many people threw it in the
I
garbage.
think there's some ET cartridges in that garbage can.
There probably are. There probably is at least one in that garbage can over there.
It's a game convention, there probably is.
Yeah, but when we began researching it back in like 2006, 2007, which strangely there was a lot more information about it back then.
The government took the information.
Well, that inspired me a little bit actually. I was like, why are these sites getting taken down? You know, maybe it's some conspiracy. But you know, yeah, back then. Well, strangely, people weren't talking about it as much, but there was more like articles, like newspaper articles and stuff available. And Atari's El Paso plant, when they buried a lot of the games from, it was basically like they were liquidating the El Paso plant, Texas. They buried those in Alamogordo,
And
in Mexico.
that's what they just dug up. It was the games from the El Paso plant.
They buried them there to get them away from looting, so people wouldn't like try to dig them up. But that was a separate incident where they liquidated that whole plant. So there were ET games in there, yeah, but it was like Centipede, Pac-Man, and that was fact 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Like that was in the newspapers those games were buried. But the myth was that there was these 2 million unsold ET cartridges that you know, were unaccounted for. Nobody knows what happened to them. And to tell you the truth, they could have been recycled. They could have recycled the plastic, or they could have thrown them somewhere else, or they could have done. Nobody knows what happened to those 2 million.
Well, supposedly there is another
Well,
landfill in another location.
Well, I mean, 'cause
It's essentially the Jimmy Hoffa of video games.
their main plant was in Sunnyvale, California. That was the main Atari headquarters. But yeah, But the thing is, those two things happened at the same time. So the 2 million unsold cartridges, and then that El Paso plant where they liquidated the Alamogordo dumping.
That's why it was so confusing.
Yeah, it's confusing because it's two separate incidents, but they happened at the same time. So when people heard the dumping, it was mostly like, well, then they must have buried the 2 million ET cartridges there, which nobody's found too many. How many did they find? Do you know?
700. Well, they didn't dig everything up. There was supposedly 700. I think that's the number. It's on like Wikipedia now. It's like 728,000, I believe, that were buried there.
But that's 720,000 games, right?
Yeah.
Not 720,000 ET. That's
no,
games in total.
Just like games like there was like Pac-Man, Defender, and all kinds of things.
So that counts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're looking for 1 million ET cartridges.
Well, 2 million ET.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where did those go?
Does Howard Scott Warshaw or Shit Pickle make the movie?
Does Howard Scott Warshaw or Shit Pickle make the movie? I've never heard both of those names in the same sentence. It's so funny because one, a real guy and then an animated character. I think in some way you'll see both of them somehow. In some way, both of them will make some kind of appearance. Yeah.
All right, cool.
Right over here.
What movie do you, in your professional opinion, a movie that doesn't just have a bad actor, plot, or effects, but it insults every person of religion, race, and creed? A movie that does not exist.
Wait,
a movie that will induce lobotomy if you watch.
Well, okay, a movie that's just insulting.
Yeah, I spit on it. I spit on your grave is my answer to that. I'll never watch that movie again, and I hate myself for ever seeing it to begin with. I Spit on Your Grave, the original.
I've seen it. Yeah. I will never see it.
No way. I'm not talking about it. That's it.
Well, offense, like a movie that's insulting. Like you could take that in any other way. The movie I felt the most insulted over was the remake of Psycho. Shot for shot remake. It was a waste of film. Wasted time.
Christmas Story 2.
I seen that. Yeah.
When I was little and with all my friends, we would make movies. They were awful, but and like we would play video games and stuff. And I remember going on the internet and seeing your website for the first time. I was like, oh, so other people do these kind of things. And how you always made, like I've seen a lot of times in your videos how you were inspired by other people. How do you feel like now knowing that you've inspired probably like me and my friends and some of my other people and some of my other friends and stuff to make our own movies and try to create our own short films and things like that?
That's awesome. Thank you. Yeah. It's great to know that I inspired more people. Yeah, it's the same thing. Like what you're doing now, it's the same thing I was doing. Yeah, it's you just make movies and you're.
It's probably easier though.
Editing's probably easier nowadays. Yeah, every generation will have an easier time with like before us had to splice on film and everything, and then we had to edit on 2 VCRs.
The classic rainbow stripe of
the rainbow stripe on the VCR. But yeah, it's definitely that's how it all starts. So yeah, just keep at it. Yeah, just making movies, in your backyard or whatever you got. Just use what you have, and use your friends to act or whatever. Whatever you just do what you can, or if you don't.
I always spend so much time trying to get things ready, and then when I'm finally ready to do it, I just kind of just stop doing it. I always just end up stop on one film and just move on to the next one.
Oh, okay.
I don't usually finish them.
The thing you have to remember, I've known James for many years, and I think the reason for his success is that he's an incredibly hard worker, and he barrels through all the tough things, and he gets these videos out, and I think that's why he's very successful. And you got to remember that James works harder than anybody, and so if you want to see any kind of success or want to keep doing it, you got to just tell that to yourself, to just work as hard as you can to do it.
Oh, cool, thanks. Yeah, but there's a lot of movies I made that I didn't finish too. So there's a lot of unfinished, Cinemassacre films that just, for whatever reason, just wasn't able to finish. Usually because of actors, like the main star would back out or something. So nobody will ever see the finished Dino Men from D4 or Battle at the Bloodbath.
When we see you drinking beer on camera, are you actually drinking beer? How often do you do that?
It used to be more real, but it would affect my decision making. I beat it. I beat that game, and I have a witness over here. Mike witnessed that. Thank you. But Bootsy is not normal.
Supposedly that game can't be beat, the US version of it, in 2 players. Like it's not possible.
In 2 players, yeah, you can't do it.
But 1 player mode, I saw him do it, and it was unbelievable.
Well, the question was any advice, right, as to how to beat it? I beat that probably about 8 years, probably 10 years ago, and I went back to see if I could do it, and I played it for a week a couple years ago, and I couldn't get past one level where there's electric eels and the ducks and stuff like that, the rubber duckies. Yeah. Well, I couldn't get by it, so I've lost a step, I think, over the years. It's very, very depressing to know that.
Are there any games that you play that you have to beat using the Game Genie, like a cheat code or Game Genie? No matter how hard you try, you can't beat it without using a Git code or Game Genie.
The question's that you can't beat it with Game Genie?
Yeah, no matter how hard you try, you can't beat it without using a code or a Game Genie.
Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde cannot be beaten with the Game Genie. If you use the Game Genie on it, you can get up to...
That's not entirely true, because there's 2 endings to that game.
Well,
if you use the Game Genie, you could put in an invincibility code and get the one ending. But if you want to beat it the good way by doing the boss, you can't.
But the bad ending isn't even an ending.
Yeah, it's not.
It just says the end, and that's it. I don't even think it says the end. They couldn't even go through the trouble.
It just says end.
It says end. But the only way to beat the game for real is you have to take damage and become Hyde on the last stage, and then you go into a boss fight, and then you get the real ending.
How do you think about the Godzilla and Transformers movie?
The Godzilla and Transformers movie? Oh man, I'm so out of it. That came out, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Did anybody see the new Transformers?
Wait, what's his name? What's that whiny guy from the first movie?
Shia LaBeouf?
No more whiny.
The whiny guy.
Screaming like.
That's true. We could all agree. No more Shia LaBeouf. We could all agree on that. That's good. That's a good thing.
The effects I know must take a lot of work, but the way it looks, all the
just the style of it.
The style of it looks like you took a garbage can and just dumped a bunch of trash out in slow motion, and then just shot it from a bunch of angles and cut it up really quick.
Yeah, they could save a lot of money if they just knock a trash can.
What games do you play to relax?
Games do I play to relax? Proteus.
Toe Jam and Earl.
Yeah. Proteus is a game on Steam, and
I like Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3. I play that all the time. I love it.
He was telling me I suck at that game, but yeah, my roommates used to love that too. They play it like crazy.
Mario Kart 8.
Yeah. So you guys relaxing games are more like action kind of games. I thought you meant like really like a trippy zone out kind of game. Yep.
I have 2 questions. One, I thought Bootsy was killed and Board James went to jail.
Mm-hmm. That happened.
Second,
yeah.
What do you currently think of the new consoles right now?
I'm too busy making a movie. I haven't played anything. And I'm jealous. I wish I had more time. Like last fall, it was like all these games were just coming out in a row. And Mike's like, yeah, I'm playing the new Killer Instinct. And I'm like, I gotta.
We played it for a couple minutes.
We did. I came over. We played a little bit of Killer Instinct.
What is your favorite moment that all of you individually has had on the show? Like your favorite individually?
My favorite moment was doing the Bugs Bunny episode, the first one. Yes! That was just a ton of fun.
And Bootsy, what was your favorite?
For me, it was a joy doing the Donut Disaster Board James video.
Yeah.
When I said the line, I like my coffee how I like my women with my dick in it.
Makes no sense.
So we're going to have several speakers up tonight, and the first of which is Mike Matei.
How's it going? You have to bear with me. I just have something I wrote here, so I'm just going to be reading from this. I met James Rolfe one night at a small party, at a small get-together at my apartment in college. We were playing a drinking game with a group of friends, as college kids will do, as many of you are doing right now. And of course, we drank more than expected. James was feeling very sick, and I could see in his eyes that he was about to throw up. And so instead of having him upchuck on my carpet, I acted quickly, and I had him throw up into a thing I grabbed, which was a metal Pac-Man trash can. I moved it over, and somehow he missed the metal trash can, and he threw up all over my arms. And we've worked together ever since. It was in college where I first showed James things like the severely non-functional Atari 5200 controller and the infamous Atari Form games. And let me tell you, there's still nothing as fun as screwing a naked Indian chick up against a cactus in glorious 4-bit resolution. I remember one day we were playing Castlevania, the original, with our friend Lucas, who did the animated Full House Tournament Fighter parody that you might have seen. He mentioned how strange it was that Simon Belmont would eat old turkey legs that had been sitting around inside a stone wall, which we all found hilarious. The seeds of the nerd humor were sprouting. But while the underlying concepts of the show started earlier than 2004 for me, what we're celebrating here today is the creation of the first videos starring the character that you've all come to love. Castlevania II, Simon's Quest, and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Now, I always liked drawing comics when I was a kid, and I wanted to get into the comics field. I read interviews from famous artists like Charles Schultz about how to get into the business, and one thing that seemed universal amongst comic strip creators was to always make your story relatable to the audience. Finding common ground with your audience is what makes it hit home with them. I think that's largely where the appeal of the nerd came from, and why it's become such a phenomenon initially. While your grandmother would have no clue what Dodongo disliked smoke means, every gamer instantly gets a picture in their mind. So when the nerd eventually hit YouTube, it was like a tidal wave of instantly relatable nostalgia, at least to the now grown-up kids from our generation. Right around that time, James had asked to borrow the Mega Man games from me, and he was a big Mega Man fan. He wanted to try and beat them all. So we went through my NES collection. I had about 400 of them at the time. Yeah, most of which I got from Funko Land, if anybody remembers Funko Land. While going through the stacks, he came upon Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. He proceeded to then tell me how he rented that game from Blockbuster Video when he was a kid and he wanted to try it again. The next thing I knew, he came over to my house with another VHS tape and a new Bad NES Games video. It was called Bad NES Games originally. This time, James was actually on camera wearing a white button-down shirt. Now you have to remember, James was my friend all throughout college, so I knew James as James, not the character of the nerd. And when he first showed me the Dr. Jekyll video, I was barely paying attention to what he was saying. The whole time I was just thinking in my head, oh my god, my friend is such a nerd. Look at that shirt. And it wasn't until the next day that it dawned on me that James usually wears heavy metal shirts like Black Sabbath and that kind of thing. So the white dress shirt that he had on purpose was for the video, and I was very relieved that he wasn't a huge dork. So that was my reaction to the first two videos. Some time passed, about a year before the third video finally happened. So now we're at 2005. James and I had a job together, which we both hated. And in our spare time, we had been working on an animated parody of The Wizard of Oz entitled The Wizard of Oz 3, Dorothy Goes to Hell. And that's where Shit Pickle and Super Mecha Death Christ originated. The point is, the Bad NES Games project was on hold for a little while because of the Wizard of Oz parody and the editing job that we had. And actually, there was no plans for there to be any more of the nerd episodes. But one day, we were at my place, once again, reliving our past with some crappy old games, and we played The Karate Kid on NES. And James made an episode about that. Bad NES Games had now become a trilogy, and that was intended to be the last of those videos. The Karate Kid video was a hybrid of the first two videos, combining the directly captured footage and James as a nerd in the white t-shirt. It was here where I became a fan of what James was doing. I thought the video was so hilarious that I begged him to do more, and it took a while to convince him because, as I said, he thought of it as a trilogy. I kept asking him, and eventually he gave in and said he'll do another episode, probably just to get me to shut the fuck up about it. He asked me which one I wanted him to review, and from a stack of about 15 games, I picked Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and this is where I became more directly involved with the creation of the episodes. I started bringing all of my retro consoles to his apartment so that the character appeared to be a serious game collector as well. I was that into the idea that I just started giving my personal game systems. The idea of the show was more exciting to me than having some dusty consoles laying around my apartment. Up until this point, the videos were only available as downloadable QuickTime movies on James' website, Cinemassacre.com, which was pretty inconvenient. Fortunately, it was then that I found out about YouTube, which was in its infancy, and I created a channel to host the videos. I named it James Nintendo Nerd because at the time, we were still batting around ideas for a name. Remember, this is before the Angry Video Game Nerd, the name for it, even existed. Some of the other names that we had been thinking about including were the Pissed Off PlayStation Poindexter for Sony PlayStation reviews. I'm sure we're all glad that it ended up being the Angry Video Game Nerd. Anyhow, once it hit YouTube, we found out that I wasn't the only fan. There was many other fans that felt the same way about it that I did, and the rest, as they say, is history. And now I'd like to bring up Bad Luck Bootsy.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you all for being here. Many of you may know me as Bad Luck Bootsy, but contrary to my name, I've had the great fortune of knowing my friend James Rolfe for about 15 years. I was at a house party during my sophomore year in college, and the night was coming to a close. For whatever reason, James and I were one of the last ones awake, and since we were both film majors, we struck up a conversation about our common love of the horror genre. He went on to tell me how he made about 80 plus short films in his life at that point, and that the majority were campy horror films. He excitedly rushed across the street to his old apartment and grabbed a VHS copy of his pride and joy of that time, Kung Fu Werewolf from Outer Space. We sat there and watched it from the beginning till the end, and I knew for sure that I met a new friend, one unlike any of the others that I had met in my life prior to that evening. We would continue to share our films together for years. This is also important. I've known Mr. Mike Matei here since we were about 10 years old. Mike's one of my best friends, and we share a really fucked up sense of humor. Mike and I were roommates in college, and so when I threw a party one night and James showed up, I should have suspected that these two guys would form an unbreakable bond of absurdity, sheer absurdity. From that point on, James was a frequent visitor to our apartment. I'd always come home from a party or from my girlfriends or something to find James and Mike reliving their childhood memories through old school video games on Mike's consoles in the living room. Clearly, as you can see, not much has changed. They were just smart enough to find a way to make a living happen. After graduation, I moved back to my parents' house, and James landed an editing job about 15 minutes away from me, so we were able to keep in touch. This was good because whenever I'd see him, we'd have movies to share, and he was always showing me stuff that he was working on. The Mexican Mummy, my personal favorite, Monkey Cheese. Brilliant, I'm still waiting for that feature-length movie. I don't know. Get the Indiegogo started on that. And he also showed me a new video that didn't have a particular title. I brought the VHS tape over to Mike's house, who was also living nearby, and we sat down to watch what would later be known as the first Angry Video Game Nerd episode. Of the vast sea that makes up James Rolfe's filmography, I knew immediately that this was the best one that he had ever made. Sincerely, I knew it was my favorite. I had tears, running down my face. It was hilarious. I remember thinking to myself, who the fuck would sit down and create a comprehensive review of the flaws in a Nintendo game that came out over 15 years earlier? Who else, really? The video was uploaded to YouTube, which was brand new at the time and was starting to explode with popularity. Unsurprisingly, the Simon's Quest video caught on like wildfire. I say unsurprisingly because I knew that James had brilliantly captured the zeitgeist of our generation in less than 10 minutes. Finally, though, 10 years ago, there was a voice expressing our discontent in these products that we were fed as kids. Finally, companies, albeit video game companies, were being held accountable for the crimes that they committed. Thank you, James, for calling bullshit on them. Thank you for shining a light on consumer exploitation, right? Round of applause for that. You've opened the eyes of generations behind us, and you've told them not to stand for that shit, really. And you've done it in the only way that you know how, with biting humor. James has been such an influence on our culture that it is almost impossible to appreciate it. I mean, everything on YouTube is a review of something now, really, and I sincerely think James is clearly the grandfather of that. There's one thing that puts James ahead of the rest, his sincerity. He's an incredibly honest guy, and I think it comes out in his videos, and I think that's why you're all here today, because you like the guy, not just the character. And so thank you all for coming. It's great to see you all out here. You've all been very kind to us this weekend. And James, congratulations on 10 years of the Nerd.
I'm proud to be a very small part of the history. Now, in the words of Mick Jagger, let's rock this mother to the max. I'd like to bring up the great and very talented Kyle Justin. Thank you.
Hey guys, thanks for coming out. I also have a little prepared something. This is obviously, I'm not reading off this right now, this is obviously a huge deal. I mean, between the work of Mike and James, it's just amazing. 10 years ago, you're coming from YouTube to a movie. I mean, and it's going to be a pretty amazing movie as well. So I am going to open up with just a little joke. So when I first met James, instead of the new sideburns that we see here, he had a mustache. It was kind of like a bird just took a dump on his upper lip. And I really can't talk because I had the bird crap mustache too. It's kind of a rite of passage for middle school kids, high school kids. So that's pretty much my only joke. I'm married. My wife made me take out all of my humor, so I'm gonna go home and yell at her. 'Cause I'm a bastard too. So James and I first met at a small little cafe or pizza restaurant, something like that, in Center City, Philadelphia, and we met to find out if we'd make good roommates. And there's another story behind that, but we could talk about that another time. But the interesting thing is, we're almost about 20 years old, and we met with our moms. So both our moms. I mean, we were nerds from the very beginning. So I don't know why our moms are there. We're like 30, 50 years old. No, I was 20. It was around, this was our second year of college, so we did become roommates. He wasn't there that often, but again, there's another story with that. But we were roommates at the University of the Arts. Quickly, James told me about this idea to film a mockumentary based on Rocky. I didn't really have any experience, but I was excited to do something different and new. So we traveled the landscape of Center City, Philadelphia, from the Art Museum steps to the unique South Philadelphia neighborhoods to film this project. During the montage running scene, James had me run along the side of like a highway. I guess it was 76, or the entrance to a highway. Cars were going like 80 miles per hour. And the interesting thing about this at the time was that I got the impression that James wouldn't do it. So what I mean is, he's like, "Sure, Kyle, go run in the traffic. I'll film. I'll be back here. I'll say that you just go run." And he's just probably thinking like, well, if he gets run over, I'll make some really cool footage. Like, that'll be really gory and fucking awesome. Yeah. I'll put some Metallica music behind it, and like, it'll be fucking awesome. A few years later, a couple small projects later, James told me about the Angry Nintendo Nerd, which obviously there's a lot behind that Mike went over, and he told me about that, and I said, well, can I write? Do you think we could try to maybe write a theme song for it? So we got together one day, and I wrote a theme song for him. Do you want to hear it? Maybe? We're doing like the full version here. It's gonna take you back to the past. Play some shitty games to suck it. You'd rather have a buffalo. Take a diarrhea dump in his ear. You'd rather eat the rotten asshole of a roadkill skunk and down it with beer. He's the angriest gamer you've ever heard. He's the angry Nintendo nerd. He's the angry Atari Sega nerd. He's the angry video gamer. When you turn on your TV, make sure it's tuned to channel 3. He's got a nerdy shirt and a pocket pouch. Although I've never seen him write anything down,
Got a power glove and a filthy mouth. Armed with this zapper, he will tear these games down. He's the angriest gamer you've ever heard. He's the angry Nintendo nerd. He's the angry Atari Sega nerd. He's the angry video game nerd. Plays the worst games of all time. Horrible abominations of mankind. Make him so mad he can spit. Say cowabunga. They rip you off and don't care one bit. But this nerd, he don't get it. Why can't a turtle swim? Why can't I land a plane? They got a quick buck for this shitload of buck. The characters' names are wrong. They got the password. What the fuck? Why is the password so long? Video game. Don't really play that song that often, so I always have to kind of be reminded a little bit. I do have a little bit more to say. Let's see here. Now we fast forward. It's the 10th anniversary of the Angry Video Game Nerd. It's a big year. James has his movie coming out. He's just announced theaters all over the country, most of which sold out within 48 hours, some within 24 hours. This is huge, guys, and this is all because of the fans. You know, this is because of Mike's hard work, this is because of James' hard work, this is because of a lot of friends that have helped throughout the years. This is it's really a huge deal, and it's amazing. From conversations I've had with a few people that have worked for Cinemassacre, at Cinemassacre, and just a handful of people, it seems to me, these are all my kind of my vantage point, to me that everybody's number one priority at Cinemassacre is above all to stay true to their dreams, to stay true to their artistic integrity, and to give you guys the stuff that is interesting, fun, and most importantly, give you guys stuff interesting, fun, and most importantly, unique. A unique product. I believe what makes Cinemassacre different is that will never change. The fact that it's unique. I personally believe life is a constant evolution, and while you may not know exactly what is going to happen tomorrow, it will be something worth waiting for. James may have killed me behind the fucking couch, you fucking bastard. But James is a really bright guy. He's a really hard worker, and he's an out-of-the-box thinker. More importantly, he's a nerd. And most importantly, he's a movie-making rebel with movie-making ideas for a new generation. The things that have happened for James and Cinemassacre don't surprise me. Knowing James from my vantage point for the last roughly about 15 years as well, I've always believed something big would happen. Probably couldn't put my finger on it, but I knew something was special. Now, 10 years have passed since James' first AVGN episode, and nothing could have happened without dedicated fans like you guys. Who knows what the next 10 years will unfold. Whatever it may be, I think it will be inspiring. I believe the AVGN movie will be epic, but I also believe there's a lot more to come. And the only limit for any of us is our imagination. I'm excited to be a part of Cinemassacre's future, and I'd like to congratulate James on this landmark 10th anniversary.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. Thanks, guys. I remember when the videos first started circulating, it was, they were on VHS tapes, only a few people. And I remember I showed it to Bootsy one time, and I guess you might have shown some of your friends, because I remember one time we were at, I think it was your house, I know it was Mike's house maybe, but we were watching a horror movie or something, some crappy horror movie. I think one of your friends brought it up to me, and he said something like, I think we were just talking about new video games, and that new video games that are coming out, and he goes, oh, I hear they're coming out with a new Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde game. And that was like his way of letting me know he saw it. And that was the first time it connected to me that somebody else saw the video and thought it was funny. And then you fast forward 10 years and you got a whole room full of people here, so it's just crazy. And we're going to do something special right now. We're actually going to watch the first 2 episodes from 2004 on the original VHS tape, or at least on one of the oldest surviving VHS tape that exists, and I'd like to show the tape actually. Here you go, this. And it is labeled in my handwriting 10 years ago, The Worst NES. Eventually it will be called Bad NES. Actually, you know what? Hang on one second. This is the Cinemassacre Gold Collection. These were the original tapes that, the first time it was like mass copies. And yeah, it was 4 different collections. One was called Heroes, which was like movies like about like just more sort of superhero kind of movies. But then these ones were the Quickies, which were just short films, like films that were like 1 or 2 minutes long. And then Misfits, which were just these weird kind of movies that I'd never show again. And then the Epics, which were more of like Jersey Odyssey, Cinemaphobia, Curse of the Caliber's Grave, Cinemassacre 101. So it was like more of the ones I was more proud of, I guess. But the Quickies, it had these 2 at the end. There was Simon's Quest and Jekyll and Hyde, but they were both called Bad NES games, just before the term Angry Nintendo Nerd even came into existence. But yeah, so this one right here, has not been played in 10 years, but we're going to watch it. This one-time exclusive event. So who's got a question?
Favorite games ever? Your favorite game ever?
Probably my favorite game ever is probably Zelda: Link to the Past.
Now this is going to seem cliche because mine is The Legend of Zelda on NES.
I grew up playing Atari, but oddly enough, my favorite video game of all time is Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3.
What's your favorite video game soundtrack? Favorite video game music?
There's a lot of good ones. I really love the soundtrack to the Castlevania games, the early ones. All of them, really. Most of them have really good soundtracks. But I think my favorite, if I was to really get specific, I think the first stage in Super Contra is really good.
Mega Man 2 soundtrack.
I don't think this counts for what you meant, but I gotta give a shout out to the Grand Theft Auto Vice City soundtrack.
Oh yeah.
I think for me, Streets of Rage 2. I love that soundtrack. I'm going back to Kangaroo for Atari and
What's the crossword at the end of the Godzilla video?
What's in the Godzilla video?
The crossword at the end of the Godzilla video.
It was Skunt, but I just made it up. I mean, it was kind of like, I don't know, like just some made up word. So yeah.
Like you did with your Back to the Future, Top Gun, and Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, Short, you revisited those. Do you plan on going back to those older ones?
To revisit them?
Like Silver Surfer or Rambo or Die Hard?
Yeah, I mean, most of those games I'd rather not revisit. I mean, I think all the major ones that I wanted to do, the ones that I wasn't satisfied with, that I could have gone further with the game, I've already done most of those. So I don't know, maybe in a while, maybe I'll start going back to some other ones. But there's so many other games I haven't done that I'm probably mostly going to be doing, games I haven't done.
What is your guilty pleasure game?
What is my guilty pleasure game? There's an LJN game, Royal Rumble on Super NES. And I remember it's like, it can get really monotonous. You just throw the guys against the ropes and you just keep, doing the same moves over and over. that grappling thing goes on forever, but I used to love that game, so I don't know, maybe that's a guilty pleasure. Hey.
You shit on a lot of things in your videos. What do you use for the shit effects?
The shit effect, what have I used for the shit effect? It's peanut butter, chocolate syrup. Chunky peanut butter, you gotta have chunky peanut butter. Yeah. Sometimes flour, other things you could add to the texture, but you know, really it's like the main ingredients is chocolate syrup and peanut butter.
Of all the games that you like, which one would you be most interested in seeing like fans try to fix in like ROM hack or something?
Oh, okay. Of all the games I've done, like which ones would I be interested in seeing a fan like ROM hack of, seeing it like redone, like seeing it fixed? I mean, I guess the obvious one is Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. See how could that be fixed? But I almost feel like I don't want to see that fixed, because that's the way that game always is to me. I don't know. Can you think of one?
A game that you fixed?
Yeah, like imagine just fixing a game.
Probably any game that you've ever reviewed.
Probably any game I've ever done, I guess. Yeah.
While your request to do a lot of reviews of events, is there any game that you wanted to review but didn't?
Is there any that I wanted to do that I didn't? Like any that are on the waiting list, or just
Ones that you were planning on doing.
that just aborted them, just didn't do them? Yeah, actually there was a Micro Machines, I remember, was one off the top of my head. Micro Machines, it was an unlicensed game on NES. And I remember I wanted to do the whole video in, you know, the commercials, like you know, the Micro Machines with a really fast voice. So it was gonna be the fastest nerd video ever because I do it in a really, really fast voice. But the game wasn't really that bad, so it didn't really work. There wasn't enough to say about it. Oh, Bullshit Man. It was like making him a character or just a show in general. See, well, the show started, and then eventually, when the show started, it was almost just the same as the nerd. It was the same voice. You know, I didn't change my voice or anything, but it was ranting about just generic stuff. And then eventually, it got kind of confusing, where it was like, well, wait, am I the nerd in those videos, or am I just me, or like what is it? It's just some kind of extension of it. And then I decided, well, it needs its own character. It needs to be like distinguish it. Okay, there's the nerd, then there's Board James, and then there's the Bullshit Man, and they're all the same kind of thing, but they're just different divisions of it. And then I just thought, okay, well, now that I'm the Bullshit Man, what does he look like? So I had a lot of time to think about it, and then I used all that time to come to the conclusion that he's just a man with bullshit on his face. So, yeah, just so much bullshit happened to him in his life that eventually he became bullshit. Yeah.
Your shit pickle, how did you make him like, how did you rate him?
How did Shit Pickle come about? That was
we were at a Wendy's one day, and we were eating a burger, and there was a pickle on the burger, and we were having a discussion about The Wizard of Oz 3.
Yes. The Wendy's at 11th and Spruce in Philadelphia, that is the birthplace of Shit Pickle. It was, well, we were coming up with characters for the Wizard of Oz spoof we were doing, and in every Wizard of Oz movie, Dorothy had some weird kind of sidekick, and well, first it was a dog, first it was Toto, and then in Return to Oz, it was this chicken, and then we always joked, well, if there was a third Wizard of Oz, who would the sidekick be, and we decided it would be Shit Pickle.
How long did it take for you to grow up at his house to then work together?
I don't think well, it was before work ever existed. It was just like college at that point. This was like 2001.
We made videos in college together, but it wasn't work, you know?
Yeah.
We made a video called It Came From Beyond the Toilet, where James had this monster shit all over me. But that wasn't work, you know? I didn't really start working for him until Godzilla-thon, I'd say.
Mario Segali, man, that was one of the first videos.
Yeah, I had James play the creator of Mario, or not the creator of Mario, but his landlord, like Miyamoto's landlord, and James, it's on the website, you can see it, it's called The Alternate History of Mario.
Yeah, that was back in college. Mike was one of the first people I remember to have an Atari Jaguar and a 3DO. And I was like, who the hell has that? So we'll do one more. So I think, let me get somebody. I don't think I got you before, yeah.
Are you going to make any more James videos?
Oh, yeah, you know what? And this is the first convention that Bootsy's ever been at, by the way. So this is what Bootsy is going to do. The first time you see three of us, and actually, I'm sorry, I had the last question, but yes, I ever since, I don't think I'll ever make a Board Games episode as good as the Dream Phone one again. It was such a perfect way to go out, but that wasn't meant to really be the end. It was meant to be a break. But I have a whole, other season of them planned out where we have all these board games picked out that we want to do. And now the series has such a great new, fresh, there's such a new fresh take on the character because now Board James is kind of a sketchy kind of guy, and like he's almost like Norman Bates. He's the Norman Bates of board games now, and we don't know if he killed his friends or not, and we really wanted to roll with that and keep on going, and I have a whole like I said, a whole season planned, but basically everything just got so delayed because of the movie. And as the movie began to take more and more time, I was like, okay, I really just have to postpone this again. And I'm still planning to make them, but I just don't know when they're going to be. It's probably I probably have to start on them like this fall at the earliest, so I don't know. But I'm really disappointed in having to postpone them because I was really, really excited to do more Board Games episodes. It's such a fresh idea, and I'd love to keep doing them and do more. So eventually we'll get back to them. Yes, anyway, that's it. Thanks for coming to the 10th anniversary celebration.
So as a longtime buddy of this guy, I'm really happy to introduce you guys to both Mike and James from Cinemassacre. Here we are.
Yeah. You know what? The question I get all the time is, can I get a picture? Can I get a picture? And you know what? I think I'm going to ask you all, can I take a picture of this crowd right now? Yeah. I'll take this picture for Twitter. Is that all right? All right, I am putting in fans in Dallas at SGC excited because they're about to see AVGN movie trailer 2. Trailer 2. Here we go. Ready for the trailer. Yes. All right. Hey. All right. So, oh, by the way, really quick, who here lives in Dallas? Oh, nice. Cool. Because I'm very proud we're bringing the movie to Dallas. Who's going to be seeing it? Oh, nice. Cool. Yeah, we got 2 Dallas screenings. We have another Texas screening in Houston. Yes. Yes, yes. Awesome. So thanks. You all sold them out so damn quick. Thank you very much.
So I can't make it to the end of the panel, but we know. I'm sorry to interrupt, but
you're not interrupting me.
So everyone knows this is the 10th anniversary of the Nerd this year.
Summer, yeah.
And Screw Attack, yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing for sure. To do anything for 10 years is amazing, right? And Screw Attack is, we've been around for 8 years of that, and that's pretty awesome. So, like I said, I won't be able to be here for the end of the panel, but we wanted to present you with a little award.
Cool.
It says.
Let me see it.
Yeah, man.
For a character defined by his anger. We can't think of a nicer, better person. You're the best there is. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
I read in an article that there actually were a whole lot of ET cartridges out buried out in the middle of nowhere. Did you happen to hear about that?
Oh, you mean the random, or the recent excavation?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, it's a very interesting story. You want me to talk about that? Cool, okay.
Hell yeah! Hell yeah!
Yeah,
Well, it's two separate incidents.
Yeah, I mean, whatever you want to know. Well, we'll just, whatever you want to talk about. Because there's so many ways to go. There's so many different like aspects of the story and everything. But what I hear a lot of times is like the myth is dead and everything. And that's up to you. It's up to you if the myth is dead, because the myth to me was always there's 2 million unsold ET cartridges out there.
That is the myth.
How many did they find?
From what I heard, when they dug up in Alamogordo, they dug up 728,000, something like that, games, but they weren't just ET. They were like Pac-Man, Defender.
Yeah.
They were game consoles. That's because they were liquidating a plant in El Paso, Texas. That's what they dug up in Alamogordo.
Atari had a plant in El Paso, Texas, that they were liquidating. And they were taking them out into Alamogordo because that was, they wanted to get them away from looters or whatever.
Yeah.
So they put them out in Alamogordo.
And that was all well documented.
It was actually very well documented. It was in the newspapers. There were pictures of it, of the games being dumped, but they were really shitty black and white pictures that looked like they've been put through a copying machine 100 times. But the pictures did exist. Actually, we comment on that in the movie. But because at the time, that was the only pictures of those games that existed. But yeah, like you said, it wasn't just E.T., it was like a bunch of games. And meanwhile...
Yeah, if you see the pictures that, from that recent dig up, it's not just E.T. games. You can actually see like high-res photos on the internet. There's like Defender, there's like game consoles, there's controllers and all that. But that's not what the myth is. The myth is that there's 2 million ET
2 million, but it was also separate. It was a separate thing that the game, failed, and then all these unsold cartridges were, unaccounted for. And to be honest, anything could have happened to those 2 million. If there really were 2 million, they could have been recycled into other games.
I think what happened is people just got confused.
Yeah. Well, and you were pretty sure that those 2 million ones existed at their plant in Sunnydale, California.
Sunnyvale, yeah.
I'm sorry, I keep saying Sunnyvale, California is where the main Atari headquarters was, right?
Yeah, right down the street from where they programmed the game. There's this big dump. It's it's right there. It's about a 15-minute walk, I think, from Atari headquarters. So it makes sense that that's where they would be.
So it was like two separate stories, but they got fused together. So the dumping from the El Paso plant was always a fact for 30 years.
Yeah, that's a fact. Obviously, they dug the games up. They were there, but they dug a bunch of games up, not the million.
They probably found as many ET games as are in my room because people send me the game so much. But I mean, that game you could find in any. You know how many people threw that game in the garbage? You could probably find one in that trash can back there. I mean, any landfill you pick up. But yeah, I mean, other than that, it was just such a weird story because after start hearing about it, it's like imagine you're making a movie about like the Loch Ness monster, and then all of a sudden they decide to drain Loch Ness, or something like that.
Yeah, and they find a tadpole and they're like, we found it.
Well, but yeah, and I was involved with that, but it just came at a really bad time, and I'm too busy finishing the movie. But the question I get all the time is, does that screw up the movie? Like, no. I mean, the movie's like.
Well, if you think about the nerd episodes, you think about like the Superman episode of Superman 64, where the nerd like rips off his like T-shirt and he flies up into the sun and all that. That's like obviously, fantasy.
I mean, I'm not going to give away anything in the movie, but it's like the movie's like a science fiction. I mean, you could tell from the trailer, it's like very much a. If any of the stuff that happens in the movie happens in real life, then we are fucked. So, but it's like, you could try to work it into real life if you want. That's like that's up to interpretation if you want to make up like an alternate reality timeline and figure it all out. But it's like, you make a movie about World War II or something. It's like, it's like every movie is set in some kind of time, so it's like it represents that time and. So
you're making me chronologically confused right now.
Well, it is. You can get as chronologically in depth with it as you want, but yeah. So the short answer is it's a movie. Like wait till you see it. So yeah.
I got a simple one for both of you. Could you describe your last shit with a shitty game?
Last
shit with a shitty game?
Yes.
Last shit with a shitty game? Is that what you?
Yes.
What was your last shit with a shitty game?
I don't know if I understand, actually.
Just describe your last shit by using a shitty game.
Last time... Wait. Last time I shit while...
No.
Yeah.
Like, what shitty game best fits it?
Well, what's in the... You don't mean, like, shitting in the videos, right? Because that's... Okay, he's asked me to describe my last shit while what?
By using a shitty game as a reference.
While using a shitty game as a reference? Does that mean I'm
Yeah, like my turd was like Top Gun or something.
Okay. Oh, so you mean make a chart that matches or something? Yeah? All right. Do you want me to compare like the consistency of a shit with a game? With a game that would be appropriate to match that. All right, let me think that through. That's new, okay? I'm gonna say it's like what's a bad game? Name what's one I reviewed?
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Well, I don't want to go there again. See, that's what came to my mind too. Yeah. All right, so
Shaq Fu. Some kids.
All right, so Shaq Fu. What?
Yeah, we know.
There is, yes, Shaq Fu 2. They won't foo it up this time. Shaq Fu, all right, is like a shotgun shit, which is when like the gas is behind the shit, so it's actually almost like you fart the shit out, and it just that's Shaq Fu. There.
It works.
Thank you for the question.
Yes.
That was beautiful, man.
Okay, cool.
How am I supposed to top that?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
It's not fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, describe your last fart with the shitty game.
Do the same thing with a fart in a shit game?
Yeah.
I don't know. What is a game? Okay, here's one. What is a game that you think is good, but then it becomes? All right, how about this? Simon's Quest. Like if you first play it, it's so awesome. It's like Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest, and then you start realizing it gets shitty and shitty and it's not really that shitty, but it's just that there's all these cryptic things in the game. They don't explain what to do. So I think the shit factor rises. So if you're going to compare that to a fart, I'm going to say like a fart that was underwater, and then you don't know, and then it comes up, and it's like, oh! I don't know. What question? What does Q&A turn into just now?
Hello. Nice to meet you, and this is really cool. I have two questions. One, how'd you meet Mike? Like, how'd you guys become friends?
I could tell him that.
You want to go through that story? All right, go ahead. Go for it.
I met James. This is a true story, by the way. When I met James, we had a little party one day. We had to get together.
Hey, can I back the story up? I'll start, and you continue it at the point where I came to your apartment.
No.
No. No. Let's see. We were in college. This was like 2001, and I remember Ozzy Osbourne was doing an autograph signing. Actually, it wasn't autographs. It was strictly just photos.
Was it that night?
It was the same night I met Ozzy Osbourne. I met Mike Matei. Yeah. So, there you go. But anyway, he was doing a picture signing. It was when this new album Down to Earth came out. But I remember I had to take like 2 trains and a bus to get there. And I remember I was like looking for somebody to come with me because I was like, hey, when are you ever going to get a chance to get a picture with Ozzy Osbourne? And I ended up being the only guy because everybody else is like, oh, I got work to do and everything. And so I go there, I get the picture, I come back, and then I knew one of my friends who would really appreciate it. I was like, you got to see this. Look, I just got a picture with fucking Ozzy Osbourne. And I come to the apartment. Well, he was over Bootsy's apartment, and Bootsy's apartment was the same as yours because he was your roommate.
I lived with Bootsy.
And I knew Bootsy, so I knew Bootsy before Mike. But anyway, through this chain, I ended up at Bootsy's place where a party was going on. And there was a lot of people there. There was a lot of alcohol. And then Mike was there, and then I remember we... you could pick it up from here.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was too much alcohol drank that evening.
Alcohol's bad.
By all of us.
Especially when it's clear. And it looks like water. That was not water. That was vodka.
So we were playing some card game or something, and he had way too much to drink. And by the end of the night, I could see that he was feeling sick, and he was about to throw up.
I had a lethal amount. It was actually really serious.
So,
and then that was a lesson in life. Like, don't do that.
Yeah. So I could see he was about to go, and I grabbed a metal Pac-Man trash can for him to throw up in. And
which I don't remember, but
you don't remember anything.
Go
from
for
that
it.
night.
Yeah. What else happened when I was?
So I go to put it under him so he can go into the metal Pac-Man trash can, but he didn't make it, and he threw up like all over my arms.
Oh.
Just like nothing brings two people together like hot vomit, you know. So.
And actually, to continue the story, the Ozzy Osbourne picture, I left it in your apartment.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, I got like carried to my apartment or something. So I woke up the next day and was like, all right. I was like really embarrassed. I was like,
he knocks on the door. He's like, oh man, I'm so sorry. I threw up your place last night, but I forgot this and that. Can I get my stuff back? So he comes in, and he comes into my bedroom, and he sees that I got like all these G1 like Transformer things. Like I got like Devastator and like all stuff from my childhood. And then we got in this long conversation about G1
and
Transformers.
He had, like video games I'd never seen in person. He had the 3DO. He had the Atari Jaguar, and all these games, and then
the Atari porn games.
Yeah, and I'm like, well. And like, so I grabbed the Ozzy picture, but I was about to leave the room, and I was like, damn, you got Atari Jaguar and 3DO. I never knew anybody to have those. And he's like, yeah, you want to play some NES or something? I'm like, no, I want to play some fucking Jaguar. And then.
Yeah. So basically, we spent a few years in college just playing NES games, and
then I was making a film. It Came From Beyond the Toilet, which is a movie about a shit monster that eats people. And I needed somebody to get shit on by this monster, and nobody wanted to do it. It was the same thing. It was the concoction of chunky peanut butter and chocolate syrup. And
the same thing used in like the Bugs Bunny episode.
Yeah, that began a tradition of you getting shit on. Yeah. So
I hope you all enjoyed that nice story about shit and vomit.
Yeah, shit and vomit. So if you agree to get shit on, then I know. All right, then I'll keep asking them to do things.
That's why he kept me around.
And my second question is, if you had to stop making videos entirely, what would you do with your life? Just stop making movies, videos, everything.
I think James is incapable of stopping that.
Yeah,
he's like a video making machine over here.
That's true. Yeah. What would I do if I were to stop?
Yeah.
I don't know. Play with dog turds or something. I don't know. See, that's the problem. It's like if I don't, like, it's always I'm going to have to be doing. I'm always making some kind of art. That's what I always did as a kid. Whenever I get bored, I'd do art, any kind there is. What's up?
This is a question for both of you. What are your favorite games of all time?
Favorite game of all time is Zelda: Link to the Past.
Oh, sorry, I'm just drawing shit pickle on here. Hang on.
He can't just sign. He always has to draw something on.
Favorite game? Well, God, I have so many. But the cliched answer I always love for NES, it's the original Legend of Zelda. But I also really like Warcraft 2, Tides of Darkness, for PC. There's a lot I could think of. Yeah, those ones.
Thank you.
How's it going?
Hey, good.
Yeah, apparently my question was asked earlier, but your last video was kind of cryptic at the end of it. It seemed like you only had one more game to review or something like that. So I guess we got confirmation that you're not actually hanging up the AVGN character.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's true. I'm planning to do more, definitely.
I would hope the video made it clear, too. That
I mean, it was cryptic, though, but it was mostly just hyping up the movie. It was just... and I went with a completely black slate. I was like, you know what? I think people know at this point. And I just left it black and was like, all right. I think everybody gets it. So, yeah. Yeah, thanks.
Hey guys, I just wanted to ask, is there any game at all that you guys played that had such like a cinematic feel to it that it just kind of blew you away? Because I know like you have a huge love for video games, and you also have an even bigger love probably for films. And what was the first game that you guys played that had like a cinematic feel?
A cinematic feel?
Yeah, they had like a cinematic. I don't know, like
a game that just
you
blew
played
away
and then
like,
Ninja Gaiden had a cinematic feel.
Well, that's true. That's
you
a
know?
good answer. I mean, it had all the cutscenes. It was one of the first games to do like a lot of cutscenes like that.
Pac-Man had that cutscene.
I think when I think of like cinematic and everything, actually it was Final Fantasy VI, which was 3 on Super
that's a
Nintendo.
good answer, yeah.
Yeah, because that game, I remember. It was. The first game I played where it was that long. It was like such a long game. It was so epic, and like you got to know those.
Yeah, you know, going back
characters
to
for
that
so
last
long.
kid's question, I think that was actually my favorite game. I totally forgot.
Okay. The soundtrack was so good. It was so, like you said, it was so cinematic that it was just like it felt like a movie. Even though, I mean, you know, it was 16-bit. The graphics weren't what they are today, but it was very. It was. I guess lack of better definition, it was epic.
Yeah.
And it really just sucked you in. And then, of course, you know, I never beat the game because I got up to Kefka's Tower or whatever, and then the game glitched. And it glitched in the middle of playing, erased all my save slots, everything. Yeah, so my whole game I spent months on was just gone.
That sucks.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Didn't that happen to you with Kari Warriors?
Yeah, but Akari Warriors, fuck that game. I think that was a blessing. But yeah, it happened on Akari Warriors right when I got to the skeleton guy behind the desk. That wasn't a glitch, that was a
power went out, right?
Yeah, power outage. I was playing in a lightning storm, I guess. Yeah.
All right, awesome. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Hey.
What's up, guys?
How's it going?
So my question to you is, well, I've always considered you two to be one of the best like on-screen duos, like just because the chemistry y'all have on screen is awesome. Y'all just played it like bounce off together really well. So my question to you is, who are y'all's favorites on-screen duos and why? Like in terms of anything.
Duos. That's a good. Oh, there's a lot of great ones. Oh, that's a good answer. Mark Borchardt and Mike Shanks.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you know, they're, you know, in the documentary American Movie, but you know, you do think of them like a duo. But people who worked as duos, who made like personalities and characters out of them, like
Wayne and Garth,
Abbott and Costello. I mean, they were fucking great.
Mm-hmm.
Abbott and Costello are legends. Laurel and Hardy.
Laurel and Hardy. I'm a big Laurel and Hardy fan.
Yeah, Wayne and Garth is a good example. Yeah. I mean, even, you know, and this year we got a new Dumb and Dumber movie, but I'm excited to see. Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels back together again, because they had some funny chemistry. As stupid as the movie was, they had a really funny chemistry, and that first Dumb and Dumber movie worked.
Ren and Stimpy.
Ren and Stimpy, of course.
Good duo.
Yeah. Well, you could go on and on.
And also, James, the Dragon of My Dreams, so fantastic.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Yes.
Oh, shout out to Beavis and Butthead too, by the way.
Beavis and Butthead, yeah. Yeah, they came back for a little bit. They're gone again, I think. But
Yeah,
they
come and go.
It was cool. They come and go. They'll be back. That's
My
all right.
question is, how did you guys come up with Super Mega Death Christ? Because I think that's like the funniest thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Wizard of Oz 3 is where that originated.
Yeah, a lot of characters originated in that. It was a spoof of Wizard of Oz, Wizard of Oz 3, Dorothy Goes to Hell, and that was that was in 2006 when we finished it. But we were talking about that movie since like 2002, something like it took a while. Like we were just coming up with ideas.
Well, I think it was because we needed a villain. Like the original had the Wicked Witch, and then the one in the 80s, the Return to Oz, had the Gnome King. So we were like, what would be so crazy that we could do that would just be the most insane thing ever? And we just came up with Super Mecha Death Christ 2000 BC version 3.0 beta, bitch. Fuckers!
So basically there was no thought to it.
When you and Mike first played games together, what game did you play?
You remember what the first game we played together was? I don't remember.
Wasn't it Custer's Revenge?
I don't think.
Where you screw a naked Indian chick up against a cactus?
I don't think you would have shown me that first. Actually, I'm pretty sure you showed me that later, because you had it on your PC. Actually, it was later. Yeah, that'd be a great game. Here you go.
It was probably like Contra or something.
Probably.
Or like Life Force or.
Okay.
But didn't we play Jaguar 3DO or something like early on?
It was so long. I don't remember.
Yeah, because you had so many consoles. like
This is like going back to
you had
2002.
Atari 5200, you had Atari
Yeah.
7800. I feel like it was something Atari because I didn't know anybody who was as into Atari as you were.
Was the first thing I showed you the Atari 5200? I'm sorry if it was.
It was early, yeah. I mean, you had it there.
I know.
You had all that stuff, and I didn't even know it existed. I knew the 2600. So
Yeah,
I
at
was
the
like,
time
oh, wow,
I only
there's
had
other-
the broken controller and everything. So.
Yeah, I don't think we played 5200. I think we played a lot. We played a lot of 2600 though.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe
Yeah.
Stampede,
Frogs and Flies.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, now, so out of 10 years of the Cinemassacre.com anniversary course, of course, you have a lot of great keynotes with James and Mike. Which is the one video y'all have the great controversy of working between each other?
A great controversy working?
Yeah, I mean, which
Like
which
a
one has
disagreement?
most trouble getting along with each
Oh.
other working on a video?
Like a disagreement or something.
Yes.
I can't think of any. You got anything?
I don't actually. We pretty much agree on most everything,
uh,
honestly. Honest
No
answer.
way,
Yeah,
really?
we haven't really had an argument.
There's probably, I mean, maybe him just convincing me to like play something where I didn't want to play. I don't know. I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you ever like not?
You're just about to ask me if I ever don't feel like getting shit on. No, I always feel like
You
getting
always
shit
feel
on.
like it, yeah.
Shit on me right
Yeah.
now, please.
You know what's hard? Your,
Round of applause for that.
You know what's really hard? Actually, your death scene in Dream Phone, that was actually hard. Do you remember that?
That was difficult to shoot.
Yeah, because it was like, it was just like, because you had to lay there still with that knife in like, you know, tucked in the side and put like blood
That-
on you. And like, I
well,
think
yeah.
the blood went into your nose or something. And it was like, but you had to stay still.
That was scary with that knife. You know what was scary when we did the Halloween video and we had that real
Yeah.
knife.
Yeah, like don't use real knives.
Yeah.
But yeah, you gotta plan ahead. Find a realistic fake knife. But we were always like, all right, we don't have a knife. We don't have anything fake that would work. All we have is a real knife. Let's be really, really careful. Like-
That being the case, I charge at him as fast as I can with it. He was pleased.
Yeah, it was very. Whenever we used the knife, it was very quick.
Yeah.
All right, thank you for your time.
All right, first off, James, thank you for representing Pantera right here
Oh,
in
yes,
Dallas,
you know-
Texas.
I gotta because I'm in the land of the Cowboys from hell right now.
Brother Dime, if you hear us, we miss you, man. So there's been these crazy rumors about a Gamera movie coming out in 2015.
A what movie?
A Gamera.
Oh, okay.
What are your thoughts about that?
It'd be awesome to get Gamera back. That's been like.
That's overdue.
It's been 8 years, I think, so far. So.
Yeah, 8 years.
I believe it. I mean, because they just brought Godzilla back finally, so I feel like they should do that. Get Gamera out, and then let's get them together. Let's have Godzilla versus Gamera.
Can I do something a little different? Can I ask the audience a question?
All right.
How many of y'all have thought about or wanted to or have created a YouTube channel? That's all you, man.
Oh.
That's all you. You've been a huge inspiration to all of us. And I just wanted to thank you and congratulate you on all your success and just keep rocking on.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good. First of all, congratulations on your 10th anniversary.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So my question is, right before you officially announced that you were going to start work on the Angry Video Game Nerd movie, like back when you did the Spielberg games, you were doing one episode a month, and so now that we've reached the point where you have a release, we have releases set up, you have plans to make the DVD, and you know it's all eventually going to come to an end. Do you have are you going to go back to once a month, or do you have any? What are your post plans?
Post plans of the movie, like making more episodes. You think specifically with the future of the nerd, right?
Any future projects, anything.
Oh, future projects.
Well, we have a
It's
lot
like-
of web series that we want to get back to.
There's a lot of web series. I mean, Board James. I've had a lot, and oh, thank you. Oh, cool. Oh, thanks. We got some Board James fans. I don't think I'll ever top that Dream Phone episode, but but I definitely want to get back to it. We talked.
Oh wait, aren't I supposed to be dead? I should get out of here.
Yeah. Well, we have a lot of ideas for more Board Games. I was actually going to start on them this year. Earlier, I was going to start on them in like the spring, and then the movie just kept expanding, taking more time, and eventually it was like, okay, there's no time to do anything else but finish this movie. So the Board Games has to be postponed, which disappointed me a lot, but I'm still going to get to them eventually.
We also have a lot of plans for a lot more like top 10 videos, and
I want to bring back the bullshit too, you know? And the nerd, like as of now, I have no plans to stop the nerd. I think it'll never be like the way it was, like in the beginning. Well, in like 2006 when it was like two episodes a month for like a while.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I think like if I'm going to make an episode, I want to make them good, and to make them good, I need more inspiration. It's tough when you stop one episode and then you start on the next one immediately, because then it's like you don't have fresh ideas. Like it's just you need time to mentally reset, and then
it's also hard to juggle so many different web series at the same
Yeah.
time, and you know. So
But it's like a lot of times we just got to sit down, play games, and like, you know, come up with ideas. Sometimes we're playing the videos when we do the Monday videos, and we played some. Yeah, thank you. And we played some of those. And then we're like, oh, damn, this game sucks so bad. This could have been a nerd episode. Like, why are we just... Because we,
yeah, like that Universal Studios
That
one,
Universal Studios game. Like, oh, my God. Like, that should have been a nerd episode. But it could maybe it could always be if there's something we haven't said.
No, we
about
have plenty
it.
of ideas, so.
Yeah, so either way, I mean, like, we're always going to be doing video game stuff.
Hey guys. I've been on a handful of sets of movies and short films, and I've learned that a lot of wrong things can happen. So I was wondering, like, throughout the production of your film, like, has anything went horribly wrong that you learned from, or just general experience that you can give to a stupid guy who wants to pursue a semi-smart future within film?
Okay. Any stories while making the AVGN film that went wrong? Like, something that went wrong while working on it?
And no spoilers.
Plenty, yes. The short answer is yes, all the time, especially during shooting. Shooting was extremely tough, especially that first month, the month and a half in Los Angeles. Well, there were 4 months, actually. 4.5. It was from January till middle of May. We were in Los Angeles. But anyway, like, it was mostly pre-production out there. We started shooting in April 1st. And I remember that whole month was just so intense. It was just every day on set. You realize no matter how well you planned it, like, one thing would go wrong and it would just set off everything. It would just be like, you're fucked. And it's like, we're not going to get our shots. And a lot of times I was like, how the hell am I going to finish this movie? Like, I need to finish this, but like we didn't get our shots. And it's like, the movie's not going to make sense. Like, the story, nothing's going to work because we didn't get all the shots we need that day. We're in a lot of really time-sensitive locations. We got to, you know, finish what we do because we get kicked out or whatever, and, you know, whatever's going wrong. And somehow we managed, and we made it through. And now I look at it, I'm like, holy shit, how did we do all that? So yeah. Your dreams can become nightmares, but they do become dreams again in the end. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey James, hey Mike. I got a question about the Nintendo World Championship cartridges that you destroyed. What did you use for the Nintendo World Championship cartridges?
What did I use for them? Zelda, well, we made a gray one and a gold. The gold one was probably a Zelda because that's a lot more common than Nintendo World Championship.
What was the gray one?
The gray one was Top Gun because that's a really that's a really common game. Yeah, you know what's funny is that the fake ones looked better than the real ones because the real ones are like 25 years old or whatever. So.
You actually look at the real one; it's like stuck on there with like Elmer's glue or something.
Yeah, no, it really is. Like they used like glue to like stick the label. So when Pat and I made them, in fact, actually, Pat made the fake gold one. I made the fake gray one, and we remember we put them together in the room. We looked at them, and before we did the smashing, we were like, okay, let's double check and make sure we're smashing the right one. Yeah. Actually, the hardest thing was the dip switch. You know that like little switching
Yeah, I
stuff.
saw that.
That was just a piece of paper, but still, like even after you printed it out and stuck it on there, you looked at the thing and you're like, oh shit, like this looks just like it looked just like the other one. We have. Okay, we only have like a couple left, probably, because we're going to do the signing soon. So we have like 5 minutes left or something like that, I think. So yeah,
cool.
so
Just made it.
Hey, what you got? Yeah,
well, it's good to see you again. I saw you
Sure.
at E3 2010. Ran to you briefly, but huge fan. Love your work. Go back to what one of the previous questions was about your guys' chemistry. One of the things I love most that you guys do is your movie commentaries. And I know with licensing you can't like post the movie on your site or whatever,
Yeah,
but
unless it's
maybe
public
like-
domain.
Yeah, maybe like a riff tracks kind of thing. Do you have
Yeah.
any plans to do any more of those? And my
Yeah.
second thing is, do you have any more plans to do any more location tours for
Oh yeah,
movies
location
and TV
tours
shows?
and public domain commentaries. Yeah, I'd love to do more public domain commentaries. I mean, we did one of Dracula, which was like you said, riff track style, where we did the audio, where we did
We did like House of the Dead too, and
yeah, but maybe, but I think we steer more towards public domain because that's easier because then you can post the video. People don't have to sync it up with the audio and video, and then location tours, maybe like one. I don't know when I'll ever be able to do it, but I've always wanted to do one called Horror Houses, but it'll be all around the country. It'd be like every single place, like. We're in Texas. Texas Chainsaw Massacre was
That would be
filmed.
awesome,
The
yeah.
place where that was filmed is now like they moved the house, and it's now family dining. And Michael Myers, the Michael Myers house, is now a chiropractor's office. Yeah.
There'd be a lot of good tours to go around here for Texas Chainsaw 2 because it was filmed in Dallas.
Yeah. So yeah, what you got?
How'd you react to the last issue of Nintendo Power?
Oh, how did I react to the last issue of Nintendo Power? You know what? To tell you the truth, I really I was so clueless because I kept hearing they were canceling it years and years ago. So I actually thought it was already canceled, and then I heard, oh, the last issue's coming out. I'm like, oh, really? So it actually kind of caught me by surprise, to tell you the truth. Thanks, everybody. That's the panel. That's GC.